Okay, so let's edit this controller wall. We got a lot of work to do here. I've got the Wii U hanging out on the side over here. The gamepad is too big to go in these little crates, so that's with the console on the console wall, even though I would prefer it to be on the controller wall. But I do have the Wii U Pro controller on the wall, so the Wii U is represented. But I keep the Wii U on here just so I don't forget about it. So let's start by just getting rid of the whatever you want to call them, the mini consoles, the classic consoles, the throwbacks, the whatever, the stuff with the game is built in. So let's get rid of the Atari Flashback. Let's get rid of the Genesis Classic. Let's get rid of the NES Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic, the PlayStation Classic. And let's go ahead and get rid of these Switch controllers. So like the Switch Super NES controller, the Switch Super Nintendo controller. I don't currently have the Switch N64 or GameCube controllers. I do plan on getting those. Maybe that is what I can put in this spot rather than the Joy-Cons. Maybe that would be a good way to display those. But anyway, back to this. The Ranger is the Retron's version of the NES controller. So I'd like it to be with that family. I don't currently have a spot on here for the Dogbone controller. So let's go ahead and give that a spot. I don't know if that came out before or after the NES Max. I don't really care right now. Just going to give it a spot. The Retron like joystick, I think they've got two. I think they've got one and like a regular one and then a Joystick Pro, which has some additional features. So we'll give that two spots. If I'm wrong, then I will change that later. The Squire is their version of a Genesis controller. I forget what the Cadet is. The Scout is their version of the Super Nintendo controller. What is the Cadet? I don't remember. Let's look it up. Okay, so the Cadet is actually their NES controller. I had that backwards. So that should be down with the NES. So then what is the Ranger? Retron Ranger. I was trying to keep this under 3 minutes, but I think that's not going to happen. Okay, so the Ranger is the Pro joystick. So that needs to go up there. So we've got some space here that I don't love. I have also realized that I'm missing a Wii controller. I have the Wii Classic Controller Pro, but I don't have the Wii Classic Controller not Pro without the little feet. And in this design, I've got the Wiimote and the Nunchuck together in the same spot. But since we're making some space, we can make those two separate entries. And then they're not quite so crammed in there. So, let's see here. Master System, Genesis 3 button, Genesis 6 button, Saturn, and then the Dreamcast. So this is just, you know, I made this 4 columns wide because that's the space that I have, but I did have the thought that, so like, the controller wall is right back there. Each cubby is like, I'm going to say zip tied. It's not actually zip tied. It's like Velcro cable ties. Each cubby is tied to each other to keep the whole thing together. So I could do little offshoots like this. I'd have to move my artwork that I've got on my wall. But that might be an option. Let's play with that. But then the Squire's in the wrong spot. All right, let's just keep the framework that we have for now. Let's put the Squire there. Let's do the NES and then the Cadet, since those look similar. And then we'll have the Dog Bone, the NES Max. So all the NES family is still pretty close. Super Nintendo and Scout. I also I discovered recently that I have like a weird, rarer variant of the Super Nintendo controller, which is kind of cool. But we don't need to get into that now. Okay, so then from Super Nintendo, these two we want to get in. The Bluetooth I want to get in. The Bluetooth is the controller for the Retron 5, which does like a bunch of different things. So this arrangement is working under the assumption that not only do I get the Retron 5, but I get either all of the other Retron consoles or at least the controllers for them. I just like the look of controllers. So let's see here. We've got N64, GameCube, and then we've got the Wiimote, the Nunchuck, the Wii Classic, the Wii Classic Pro, the Wii U Pro, and then we can put the Bluetooth in there, which will then make basically a whole row for the Switch. And then once I get the next Pro controller, that'll go there. So we're left with one space here. We've got the PS1 with the analog sticks, PS2, which I've got a weird controller. If you've seen the video, it's the Green Bay Packers one. That was given to me by my brother. I'm not a Packers fan. I don't actually know if it's a PS2 or PS3 controller. I want to replace it. So I don't actually know if I have a PS2 controller, but that is taking up the PS2 slot on my physical shelf right now. But let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then for Xbox, we've got the Duke, the S, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox One X, which leaves one empty box here. Now, I'm pretty sure there are fancier Xbox controllers. I don't know much about them, and I don't think I want to put up the money for one for something that I probably won't use. So I'm just going to leave that blank for now. And if I ever am out and see something that I would like to add to this shelf, then this could be moved within this framework to fit wherever it feels most appropriate. But this isn't too bad. I don't love... Oh, my computer's angry. I don't love splitting up the rows, but like you kind of just got to do it. So we've got the Atari, the joystick and the paddles, and then the Retron joystick, and then the Ranger, which is their fancy joystick. Then for Sega, we got the Master System, the Genesis 3 button, the Genesis 6 button, the Saturn, and the Dreamcast. You know what we could do here? We could make this the VMU. Because that's not what I meant to do. That was able to be used as its own little thing. I know that it's not technically a controller, but we'll just put it on there as as an idea. I don't know why this is. Oh, I have 2 question marks. That's why. So we got all the Genesis stuff, the Squire, which is the Retron version, the NES, and the Cadet, the Dog Bone, the NES Max. I'm not worried about any of like the Advantage gamepads or anything like that. They wouldn't fit anyway. Super Nintendo and the Retron version, the N64. I could do 2 GameCubes. I could do the Wavebird and the Standard, but those will look pretty similar. I don't think that would be visually interesting. The Wiimote, the Nunchuck, the Wii Classic controller, the Wii Classic Pro controller, the Wii U Pro controller, the Retron 5 Bluetooth controller, Switch Joy-Cons, Switch Pro controller, Switch 2 Joy-Cons, Switch 2 Pro controller, PS1, PS1 DualShock, DualShock 2, DualShock 3, DualShock Full, DualSense, Duke, S361 XS. I don't think I'm missing a mainline controller. If I am, let me know. I got room for it. But I think we're going to call that a plan for now.